is so much conflicting information out there about intermittent fasting. It's overwhelming. What do I eat? When do I eat? Is a 16-8 better than OMAD? What's OMAD? Should I do dirty fasting or clean fasting? All of these questions and more are answered in my flagship course, Intermittent Fasting for Weight Loss 101. Click the link to get lifetime access today. Your future is up to you. Let's talk about intermittent fasting for women. You know, intermittent fasting can seem intimidating, especially as a woman, because we have to think about our hormones. You know, we're afraid of messing up our metabolism, and doing something like intermittent fasting can seem sort of risky. So in today's video, I'm going to share my experiences with you. I've been practicing intermittent fasting consistently for over 5.5 years now, and I was able to lose 80 pounds, and I've been able to maintain at a healthy weight for years now. So first, let's talk about metabolism, because I think that's something that most of us really get scared of. I know that was certainly my big fear. Like, oh no, if I do this because it's so weird, it's going to screw up my metabolism. But I think the fear behind the fear is that we won't be able to lose weight, really. I mean, we're not really talking about like, I know exactly what my metabolism measurements are, and I'm afraid they'll go down by a certain percentage. Like, we're just afraid we won't be able to lose weight, or we won't be able to keep it off. But I've been able to lose the weight and keep it off. You know, the thing that got me past this fear was just to say, you know, I think it's a bigger risk to remain obese than it is to try this intermittent fasting thing. And, you know, we'll see what it does to my metabolism. Now, the next big concern is hormones, and there are some special considerations here. You know, when I got started with this, I thought it's probably going to mess up my period and things are going to be off. But what I noticed for myself was my emotions really leveled off, and I was just in general in a better mood. And also my periods stayed the same. So they were very regular before, and they stayed that way throughout this entire time. That being said, there are some special considerations for us women when it comes to intermittent fasting during our period. The first thing is we're going to crave chocolate, and we're going to crave it hard a couple of days before our period starts usually. And, you know, my technique in handling this was to just let myself have a piece of chocolate, even if it was outside of my eating window, just when I needed it, which was usually like one day out of the entire month that I needed that piece of chocolate, and then I was fine. The second thing that happens is that during your period, your appetite increases, and this makes fasting more difficult. Like, you're going to be hungrier in your fasting window, and you're going to probably want to eat a lot more during your eating window. And that can feel kind of scary because you might be afraid that this is going to be a permanent change in your appetite. But, you know, if you start to notice, you'll see that your appetite probably increases a bit during the period, then goes right back down to normal after it's over. But then it's like this perfect storm happens, because in addition to those two things, your water weight is going to be fluctuating during your period. And those factors all combined can make it really difficult to stick with intermittent fasting, because you're just afraid that you're messing up, or that these things are going to keep going on and that your weight will just continue to go up. But if you can just hang in there and say, okay, this is just going to happen every month, I just need to continue fasting as normal, then I think what you'll find is you'll be fine. Your weight will go back down to where it was after the period's over. Your appetite will go back down to where it was before the period started, and everything will be rosy until the next month. And while we're on the topic, weight fluctuations are normal. And if you've never really tracked your weight before, it can be kind of intimidating, because if you're starting intermittent fasting and you're tracking your weight and you see that your weight is fluctuating up and down, you might start to think, oh no, intermittent fasting isn't working. But really, weight fluctuations are just normal, especially for women. Our weight fluctuates more than men, or it tends to at least. Just continue to track and keep track of your 7-day average. Now, you may find that your weight loss is slower than a man's, and that's to be expected. Unfortunately, men just seem to have an edge, especially in the beginning stages of weight loss. Our results tend to even out over time, but in the beginning, they have the edge. So, you know, if you're starting this, let's say with your husband, and he's dropping weight like mad, and you're just, you know, barely inching down, don't worry, that's totally normal. It doesn't mean that intermittent fasting is a bad idea and you should try something else. And I think another factor in all of this too is that we women are just more emotional, and we tend to have kind of a tendency to eat emotionally. And so that can make weight loss just more difficult. Now, let's talk about longer fasts. This was something that really tripped me up in the beginning. I read something somewhere along the way that said, oh, women should not fast for longer than 14 hours at a time because it'd mess up, I don't know, our hormones or maybe our metabolism. I can't remember which one it was. But what I found was that I did great with longer fasts. So, especially once I got to about a 16:8, that was when the results really started happening for me. And then I pushed it to an 18:6. Eventually, I got to the point where I was just eating one meal a day, OMAD. And throughout that, I was feeling great. My energy was great. My mood was great. And overall, I felt very happy and healthy. And since 2016, I have been fasting usually for a period of at least 16 hours, usually 18 hours or even OMAD for the bulk of that time. And like I said, I feel great. I think what you should do is try these things out and see how they work for you and your body. Now, the last consideration for women is that intermittent fasting can feel a little difficult because we tend to be the people who are responsible for cooking meals for the family. And this can be really difficult in the early days when you're learning how to fast because look, fasting is a skill. It's not magic. You just have to get better at it with practice. But when you're trying to learn how to fast and you're trying to cook a meal that you're not going to be able to enjoy and just instead you have to stand there and smell the things that are cooking and it's like very, very tempting to want to taste it. But if you can just learn how to resist the urge and just have that discipline, and this is just practice, this is getting your reps in, it will eventually become very easy. It will become like nothing to stand there and cook. I mean, it just at this point it doesn't faze me at all. But in the beginning, a lot of people find this very challenging. It just takes practicing, doing it, building that fasting muscle, and then eventually you'll be a pro at it. So in the end, I believe intermittent fasting is an excellent tool for women for weight loss and weight maintenance. It has been the first thing in my life that has helped me to get the weight off and keep it off while still enjoying life and all the foods that I love. So I hope that you found this video helpful. And if you'd like to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe down below. It's easy to get overwhelmed by all the conflicting information on the internet about intermittent fasting. I lost 80 pounds by practicing this in a sustainable, relaxed way. My book, The Laid Back Guide to Intermittent Fasting, guides you through the process of getting started, how to practice it, and things to try if you start having trouble. Click on the link on the screen or in the video description to buy your copy today.